Hey everybody, Phoenix Flight again with my first replay review of the new patch 1.01, which made various changes, primarily nerfing Typhoon boat strats and loose formation crawlers, reducing HP. Okay, so our protagonist here is Tantalus, and this is a 900 MMR level game we're looking at here. We're just looking for general feedback, didn't have any specific questions. But we got here Tantalus as a giant special going into Yandera, who is a Farseer special. So we're gonna be, looks like we're gonna be running late steel balls, and we'll take a more detailed breakdown of the formation going into round 2. Not much to take away from round 1, as you can imagine. But looks like it's going to be nearly a draw here. Yeah, okay. Well, that Arclight packs more of a punch than I thought. Yeah, not a significant loss. Okay, let's pause here and take a look. So we're running delayed steel balls in the back, stacked to one side, fangs in the middle, and then our chaff clearing arcs in the middle. Kind of an unusual setup to have both balls in the back here. Typically, if you're going to be playing standard, you probably want to have the other set of balls over there to kind of hedge against aggro. It's not necessarily bad, it's just a little unorthodox. Fangs, generally, you want to put a little bit further up as your first wave, unless you're intending these guys to be second wave later, and you go maybe crawler there later. So then the crawlers become wave 1 because of their speed. But okay. Enemy here. Nothing too crazy on this side. This is a pretty standard formation. I've brought it up in my other videos, but at higher levels of play, you're going to want to do horizontal crawler behind the tower. With the quick reason being is, let's say there's a flank that comes down on this side. You know, flank comes down here, you've got vertical crawlers. What's going to happen is every single one of them is going to go attack that flank. If you have horizontal crawlers, on the other hand, and the flank comes down, what will happen is only a portion of those crawlers will go to the flank, while the other half, or not, it's not exactly that, but the other portion will continue forward, so you aren't totally missing out on chaff in the front. Okay, so that's a good optimization to be aware of. Okay. Round 1 or round 2 drops rather. Wasp form would be pretty bad for both players, just given there's plenty of fangs and mustangs already on the field to help counter a wasp drop. Improved tarantula. I would say it seems like right now tarantulas are in a weird place in the meta. I rarely see people actively buying tarantulas. For the most part, for what it's worth, at around the 1500 level, it's pretty much, if you start with tarantula, you go for aggro, and if you don't have tarantula, you just don't go into them generally. They're just because they're really good early on, but struggle in the mid and late game. Usually people will sell out of them and go into something else later. Asphort, too early to tell if it would be useful. I would lean towards no, just because this is a standard versus standard game, so the reduction in range is something to really be considerate of. And then mobile beacon is just a good, good tool to have in your pocket if you want it. So I would say either mobile beacon for later or skip. There isn't any like really obvious choice here, so I don't have any major critiques. Okay, so you went for the wasp swarm. Yeah, this is okay. A defensive wasp swarm, that I can understand a little bit more. So you don't have your fangs pulled back. That's fine. Enemy here, I would imagine, is going to want to upgrade these mustangs. He also goes for the wasp swarm. Is he going to put it? Okay, he's going to put it offensively to annoy all these steel balls. They'll get stuck on them. So this isn't really going to be able to take the tower. They'll get stuck on the... Oh, actually, they'll get missiled. Okay, so you go for more arc lights to improve your chaff clear. That's fine. As long as your chaff clear is good, everything else kind of flows from that. Enemy It's a lot of missiles for this early in the game, though. It's pretty aggressive. Okay, here. So that's a good cheeky missile to do it maybe one time. Same thing with this side. So after you've seen missiles come out, what'll typically happen is you'll put some fangs or crawlers in the front, typically fangs because they're slower. Just put them in the front to eat any early missiles like that in the future, and that's their primary job, and become the first wave of chaff, while the fangs they had back here become a second or third wave. Alright, we'll speed her up here. You can't win against these wasps. These Mustangs are a problem getting level 2 back quickly, though. Alright. Farseer comes out for the enemy. Ooh, and it's also the unit drop round. That's interesting. Okay, so trying to think what I would do here in your situation. All right, let's think first from your opponent's perspective, right? So if I'm your opponent, I'd be looking at that Scorpion pretty seriously and placing it somewhere over here to counter all these steel balls. Same thing with Phoenix would be probably the most likely option. Saber would be okay, but it would really depend if his chaff clear is good enough for it, which for now it has been, given you only have 3 packs of fangs. My concern with going Saber is if it gets stuck on chaff, that could let the balls come in and counter it right away. But if the Saber has time, it can take out the balls, no problem. But Scorpion would be the safer pick. Wraith would be interesting. Honestly, like, all 4 of these are, like, reasonable options for your opponent. So, because of that, I would actually probably go for the Phoenixes. Just because the Phoenixes counter the other 3 pretty decently. And then you just need to make sure that your Phoenixes stay away from the Mustangs, or you're able to take out the Mustangs faster. So, to take out the Mustangs faster, I would probably recommend going into Arclight range. And then having some additional chaff in front as well. Okay, so enemy does go for the Scorpion. I imagine he's going to put it on the left to deal with the steel balls. You go for the Saber. Okay. Not my favorite pick, but let's see where you put this. I don't think it's bad per se. You just need to be able to support the Saber by giving it enough chaff clear so it doesn't get stuck on crawlers and Mustangs. I would have put it a little bit... I mean, if I'm your opponent with the Scorp, I'd put it more on the outside and then put some fangs down to support it. But, okay, he's going to leave it a little more centralized. Probably anticipating the balls coming this way and then having the Scorpion engage like that. More marksman's kind of... I guess it's fine. Looking into trying to counter, he saw you put more arc lights down. So you're going to put Sabertooth all the way back here. This is certainly further back than typically we see Sabers. So these sledges, I think are going to be okay. But they're certainly risky, given we saw in the unit dropped round that there were Phoenixes, Scorpions, and Sabers all available. All 3 of those are really strong counters to the sledges. So I'm not saying it's a bad play per se, it's just a risky play. Especially because now we got, as you're about to see, the Scorpion's going to be out in front, and this can one-shot or maybe two-shot a whole pack of these sledges. Yeah, we need some more chaff up in the front here, because see, we're going to have our sledges are being treated like chaff right now, being the first things that are getting hit. Okay, and then the Farseer went down on the right side to kind of balance the Scorp on the left. You see a Scorpion, great answer to the steel balls. But Sabertooth eating a lot of hits. I mean, it is a level 3. That's a lot of HP to deal with, especially come round 3. So that is one of the benefits of these Scorpion drops, is they can be kind of cheesy, especially if you happen to really roll the dice and go into field maintenance right away, but the Scorpion, just too much for it. Okay, going into round 4. Let's take a look at this one. All right, you immediately... All right, that's some sort of bug. It's clearly a lightning storm, not a photon. I mean, lightning storm this early is actually pretty good just because you'll have the option to use it twice, given the cooldown. Advanced targeting wouldn't actually be horrible, given the range battle, but it is very expensive. Yeah, Battleship probably wouldn't make sense given all the marksmen and mustangs that you're dealing with. The mobile beacon, until he goes Stormcallers or you have some sort of specific strategy with a beacon, probably don't need it quite yet at the moment. So yeah, it's either the additional aim range or the storm. All right, both players going for storms. So are you going... You do shield against it, so you respect the storms. That's the right move. Okay, you're putting down crawlers. Where are you putting them? Okay, putting them in the back, so they're late chaff. That is also a need that we have. That's good. I would say we also just need a first line of chaff. Maybe not that far in front. Maybe like around here. Some fangs. Just to eat the first shots, because what's going on is the scorpion and the marksman are getting on the sledges right away. Let's take a look from the side, given how messy the storm is. Obviously, you're going to survive the storm way better with the shields down. So good job acknowledging that the opponent had the option for it and you respected it. Man, this scorpion is a huge problem for the steel balls. It's going to go down just because he doesn't have enough chaff to support it, but maybe just barely. No, not quite. But... And then the Saber over here has been your MVP this game. This right side doesn't really have good options to deal with it other than the marksman. So, yeah, so I would certainly level this guy, and then I would seriously consider field maintenance. It's just so annoying to deal with. Ooh, or if you're not going to invest into the tech, go into nano repair. Let's think about what our enemy would be thinking right now. I would imagine this nano goes on the Saber, by the way. So then you don't necessarily have to invest 300 into a technology that does the same thing. Sticky oil would be pretty okay for him, especially if he wants to be sneaky and put it in the back to delay the back chaff. But I wouldn't be super worried about it. Wasp Swarm would be pretty crazy to do another one with all these fangs out to deal with them. Plus, you should be able to respect them. Barrier, he has no giants, but he is... I'm sorry, you're the giant special. That's... Alright, let's talk about it. You're a giant special, and we're in round 5 of no giants. Not really leveraging your specialist so far. And yeah, that's the right move. So, generally, giant special should have a giant on the field by round 4. And then another thing I'm noticing with your unlocked units over here. So in the early game, we have units that we can unlock for free. Even if you're not going to use the unit that turn, if you have a free unlock, use it. Reason being is, one, it saves you the unlock for later if you need it, but also if you unlock something, when it comes to the unit drop rounds, anything you've unlocked is removed from the pool of options. So a really common thing I like doing if I'm giant specialist is I like... After the early game, you know, maybe come round 4, round 5, I like unlocking the melting point, even if I don't need it right away. Just because I'm giant specialist, I can unlock the melter for free, and then I can build whatever giant the next round, and then I know for certain that melting points are not going to be in the free unit drops, so he's got to either pay to unlock that himself, or he's got to come up with a different anti-giant option. But speaking of melter, you're going to go into melter already. Alright, at least you do the range. I do like that you're going into a giant. I just feel like the melter a little dangerous with scorpions being pretty solid counters to them. Especially if he decides to go into acid. I would say... Oh, man. I mean, boats could be an option. Actually wouldn't be the best with the Farseer. He doesn't have a ton of chaff either, and your chaff clear is doing okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the melter is fine, especially if you give it range. The other one I'd seriously be debating would be maybe the forts, especially if you got range on forts. Okay, so he's going range on his scorpions. It's smart for him, knowing that you're probably going to go into giants. I see you got a crawler flank coming down to try to be annoying. And then you got an offensive wasp swarm on this side that's going to distract the melter for a little while, unfortunately. We got some more chaff coming down. Kind of an unusual chaff placement. Like, it's good to put it in the back, but vertical or horizontal in the back is not as efficient as vertical in the back. You'd want to do, typically you want to go vertical. Yeah, obviously this is just a distraction. That's not going to come through. That's just going to slow his units down. Anyway, and then the wasp is going to be really annoying on that side. So, given the scorpions now have range, we'll have to see how this saber-tooth does. But now, took that hit pretty decently, but I'd be at least considering selling it and moving the item to the melter. Really just depends on its performance. Well, it's still performing really well, so maybe not at the moment. Especially because it's a level 3, level 4. Yeah, okay, and then obviously it's not going to win this round. The melter can't handle all this. Alright, going into round 6 now. Nano, barrier, ER sledge, or... Okay, so you go into another nano repair. Perfect. Yeah, I don't need to sell the saber now that you got that. Definitely rank up the saber. It's earned it. Plus it gets more health to work with when you do that. Both wasp swarms are off cooldowns, so you should either put some like mustangs or fangs down in the back to respect the wasp swarm and have them come in as late chaff, or just do a defensive wasp swarm and missiles if you don't want to make a large commitment to it. Okay, so you're going for the offensive wasp swarm in the back. Something just got sold. Missed it though. Got a lot of arc lights looking for rank ups. I just feel like there you go, range on the arc lights, exactly what you needed, and a bunch of rank ups too. Yeah, so that'll significantly help the chaff battle. Oil's fine, I guess. I mean, he doesn't have that many fast units though in this area, so I'm not quite sure what the purpose is, unless it's just to get the oil down this turn and then get like a Vulcan next turn to set it on fire. We'll see though. Okay, I'm liking the fangs in the back. This is great. As anti-flank and anti-wasp swarm, in case he goes for it. That's great. They'll also be your latest chaff, should the round go long enough to require them. So it looks like the enemy is just going to... Looks like he's just going to hold on to his wasp swarm for now. Maybe he just forgot or ran out of time. Alright, yeah, these sledges are just chaff at this point. I would sell out of these sledgehammers. They aren't really doing anything for you. Crawlers and fangs are cheaper and do the same job that they're providing at the moment. Alright, melter gets on it, but you got the melter down. This saber's been a great, no pun intended, tank for you. Just eating up all these shots. Yeah, they really need to include like damage received as a statistic so you can see the value that way. Alright. Nice shot on the opponent there. Ooh, unit drop round. Okay, forts. Forts could be okay. Do you run range on your forts? You do run range on your forts, okay. So, you know, you just happen to run the same text unless that's a bug. Okay, yeah, ranged forts could be okay. Especially if you put them away from the scorpions, so maybe like one right up the middle, you know, and like on the outside maybe. Triple Fire Badger would help you dominate the chaff clear game and then also set this on fire, so maybe I'm leaning a little bit more towards that. Typhoon would also help the chaff clear game and also give you some better anti-air at the moment. Given how many wasps you're waiting on the wasp swarm, you could go like Typhoon, Typhoon, like that. Then you're pretty covered against wasp swarms for the rest of the game. Level 3 Tarantula, I don't see it. You don't really need anything else that's super tanky at the moment. Then for the enemy, I would imagine that he either goes into... I would imagine, if I were your enemy, I would probably go into forts and then just keep them away from the strong units over here. Help dominate one side and then use the tower debuff to come in and take those out after. But yeah, this Saber, again, would really benefit from a rank up given the nano repair stacks with level, given it'll have more HP to work with. Okay, enemy goes into Typhoons. I guess he's more worried about chaff clear at the moment. So are you going to commit to this flank, or are you going to saw out of those crawlers? We'll see. Stormcallers came down last round. I must have missed that. So maybe you go Flame Callers, and then you set this oil on fire. It wouldn't be... I mean, it'd be nice for a one-round swing, but he doesn't have a ton of small units, so the fire wouldn't be amazing long-term. Okay, you go into the forts. Temp range. This is fine. I don't know about charge shot. I think your arc... You already have heavy hitters. I guess you're going for more of a carry arc light strat, where they're less of chaff clearers and more heavy hitters. It's definitely not bad per se, it's just risky. I don't like teching into the sledgehammers. They're not doing much. I mean, sure, with range they'll stay further back and clear out more chaff, but if you want them to be chaff clears, you really need to go into mechanical rage as well and then build more sledges where the chaff is. Which, he doesn't have much chaff on the sides, by the way. He's pretty much all in the middle. Yeah. Okay, so his melter gets on your fort. And then he used his wasp swarm defensively to help deal with the crawler flank. So at this point, I mean, maybe you keep the crawler flank. Maybe it's providing just enough distraction to still be useful, but you just need to be be aware of maybe feeding XP to the opponent. All right, we'll speed this up here. Oh yeah, I should be able to steal it. Oh no. Scorpion, huge hit there. Alright, let's slow her down. Or pause it, rather. So, you went for tank... Okay, tank production line is reasonable, given you already have giants, and then you've already teched into the sledges. Certainly unorthodox to go into sledges this late. Like I said, I think the play I would do is mech rage, and then more sledges where the chaff is, and then you use them as chaff clears, and then the arc lights are more for taking out the medium-sized units, so they kind of like reversed roles compared to what you anticipate. Elite Fang makes no sense in this case. Mobilized Battleship could be... I mean, it wouldn't be amazing. He's got a Farseer back here. He's got Marksman here. Typhoon's there. I mean, you wouldn't be able to get a good flank in with it. You couldn't put it in the back because of the top Farseer there. So, and if you wanted to use it defensively, maybe. But I don't think he would go for it. I feel like... I mean, compared to the other ones, actually, now I think about it, it's like... if I'm him, I go either tank production or mobilize, and then just drop it in the back, because the fangs will take... Oh, no, he can't drop in the back because of the melter, so... Yeah, if I'm him, most likely tank production line. Yeah, and you put it right up the middle, okay. And looks like he may have just skipped. Just fine, too. Okay, so are we gonna tech these giants? These forts, rather. Also, again, the saber would really benefit from a rank up. I don't know how I feel about Shield Fangs when the enemy was already showing Vulcan, and now he's got a second Vulcan, now with range going. I do like Shield Fang long term, especially if you you don't have field. That must have been a bug in the replay system earlier. You do not run range, don't run Fang production. If you had Fang production on the forts, then I would understand upgrading these Fangs a little bit better. I would just be concerned last round seeing the Vulcans come out, especially because, you know, it's a 500 cost tech. It's really expensive. I just feel like that money would have been better spent on sabers or mech rage into the sledges, so then the sledges become awesome chaff clearers. It looks like the sledges are still in front, so they still get shot at early here. And he also went into range on his melter to match yours. Got the lock on the saber. Yeah, I mean, if you aren't going to give enough chaff to distract the melter, then it makes no sense to upgrade the saber. See, like, this side away from the Vulcans is when the shield things make sense, because it's just, they're just taking so much time for them to deal with. Let's speed it up here. A little faster here. Okay, absorb module on a melter would be really good. Otherwise, a barrier on one of the giants that's not a fort would be good if you maybe built like a second melter. Both lightning storms are back this round, so this would be a great time to go into barrier on the forts. Not sure that you really need Scorpion with siege mode, because you're trying to have fortresses, and this saber be that kind of role. It was like you're really heavy damage hitter. Okay. What are we going for here? And I do like that you're going in the late game, by the way. Going for temp range is really, really good. In the late game, it makes a big difference, having that extra range, because your opponent's not going for it. And opponents respecting the storm a little bit better. And then putting a defensive wasp storm. Looks like you're selling out of the crawlers now, which is fine. Alright. So, are you gonna respect the storm coming up? You're out of money, so you can't respect the storm, unfortunately. So he's gonna dominate this round. Oh, he goes big suck on his melters too. He should dominate this round. Pretty convincingly, I would imagine. Not much to take away from this one. I mean, if you're, you know, one lightning storm hits, the other one doesn't, it should not quite as easy as a win as I thought. I guess now you're at the point where you're taking out the Vulcans fast enough so that the shield fangs are actually making an impact. I mean, I still disagree with the Scorpion pick. Felt like that could have gone into Fortress technology. Okay, but we're going with it. Okay. I mean, considering that you didn't respect the lightning at all, to only lose by that little is pretty amazing. Okay, big drop here. It's going to be the last drop of the game. Sandworm, I don't really see a good use case for it here. War Factory could be good if you can keep it away from the melters, which is easier said than done. The safe play is just big Rhino and sell it. Level 4 Wraith I don't see happening, especially with the Farseers and Mustangs and the EMP Marksman as well. So I'd go Big Rhino and sell. But we'll speed this up here. Enemy's got a Wasp Swarm, or no, you've got a Wasp Swarm you can bring back. Oh, you go for the War Factory and sell it. I'd have to do the math, but don't quote me, but I believe a level 8 Rhino is going to sell for more than a level 1 War Factory. But also gives you the unlock as well. Which, by the way, we should have like all the Giants unlocked by now at this point. I guess if you're going to commit to the Scorpion, that's fine to get Acid at this point to be anti-Giant. EMP on the Storms to disable tech is pretty good. He goes for the big Wraith, interestingly enough. You don't have a great answer to the... Well, you got the Melter to deal with it eventually, but the fact that's only one Melter, I feel like you could really benefit from a second melting point, especially because you already have the range tech on it. Up burning his own units. Oh man, acid onto the oil is a really great synergy. So then they get stuck in the acid for longer because they're dealing with the oil. Defensive Wasp Swarm, not the best spot for it. Just given that that was going into Typhoon Mustang, it would have been better up the middle. Granted, you didn't know the Wraith was coming. Wraith would have taken it out either. So there wasn't really a great spot anywhere for your Wasp Swarm. He's got great anti-Wasp setup right now. Yeah, you're going to be outranging him pretty significantly, so you should take this. Okay, here we go. Wow, going deep. Round 11 coming up here. I mean, at this point of the game, it kind of almost doesn't matter. It's like, to me, it's either you do a Vulcan drop to burn this, or you go a quick teleport and you do like some crazy flank play to close out the game. Yeah, we can speed it up here. Ignite on the Fangs. I don't know if I like Ignite. I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. If you had more Fangs, like if you had some like Fangs behind the towers that came in late as well, I don't know, you're building more Fangs. And okay, now that you're given the attack enhancement, now that's going to make a legitimate difference. And also now that you've got elite marksmen on the Arclights, you're definitely going to want to prioritize ranking them up. But it looks like you're out of money. And then you took a loan and you went for, oh sorry, slow it down. You took the loan, which I like, because you're going for the kill here. And then you went for temp range. So I like all that. I mean, at this point in the game, range makes a big difference. Yeah, see, with this many Fangs, then I do like it. And especially with the range tech as well. So it's almost like, you're almost pivoting into carry Fang late in the game once you're able to quickly wipe out the Vulcans. So I like the play, for sure. It's just a little bit unorthodox. Not saying it's bad, it certainly worked out in this case, and you should be able to take the game. Yeah. No, dude, you're certainly on your way up if you're playing like this at the 900 level. My main feedback is pretty much just like acknowledging when you could get these upgrades going. Like this Melter could have been like a level 3, level 4, and then just absolutely dominate. Same thing with the Saber if it had more chaff support earlier in the game. And then just be really cognizant of unit rolls, given the Scorps are essentially doing the same job as a lot of these others units, and they did do decent damage at the end, but just felt like it was kind of an overlap of roles for the most part. But yeah, your fundamentals are pretty solid, and you'll certainly make it into the above 1,000 MMR group soon enough. All right, I gotta head out. Thank you so much for submitting your replay to the Mecha Discord. I'm Phoenix Flight. Keep playing Mechabellum. See ya.